Here are the pros and cons of living in Decatur, Georgia. One of the biggest pros of living in this area is its proximity to the city of Atlanta. While Decatur is not in the city of Atlanta, it is within the perimeter. Very often, the locals here in Atlanta refer to Interstate 285 as the perimeter, as this road kind of goes around the city of Atlanta and some of the other cities. And Decatur is one of those cities that is very close to Atlanta, but it's not outside of the perimeter like the suburbs. It's within the perimeter, and so it still has that city feel. It still has that vibe that you would get from any city that is very close or even adjacent to Atlanta. And so you get a lot of those amenities of the big city. You get a lot of that vibe of the big city. And then very often people who want to be close to Atlanta for work or for school or for any reason that you would see in the city of Atlanta, they choose Decatur because it's a bit different from Atlanta, but you still have that close proximity. Maybe you're working at Georgia Tech, or you're working at the CDC, or maybe it's Emory University. We get clients all the time who are working in these different parts of Atlanta, but they want to be a little ways away from work. They don't want to be right next to work. They don't want to be able to walk to work. They just want a little bit of that distance from that work life. And so they choose Decatur because it's a 10 to 15 minute drive to the CDC, maybe 20 minutes tops to Georgia Tech. And so all of these different things are why people very often choose Decatur. It's got that proximity, but it still has a little bit of distance from the vibe and maybe the downsides of Atlanta. Another big reason why so many people choose this city is because of its diversity. Another thing that you see with these big cities, unlike the suburbs that are far away from Atlanta, is you see more racial diversity, more cultural diversity, more of a mix of ideas and races and cultures. And so this is a big draw for many people, including my wife and I. This is why we love the metro Atlanta area in general, is because of that mix of ideas. Maybe it's even political ideas that you get a very good mix of in this area. And so because Decatur does have that good mix of political ideas and races and cultures, this is a big reason why so many people choose this area. What's up, y'all? My name is Victor with Atlanta Suburban Living, and we put out videos every week about what it's like to live in Atlanta and the surrounding suburbs and cities of Atlanta. Another big reason why so many people choose Decatur is because of the DeKalb Farmers Market. There are many different community events around Decatur and in Decatur, but many people from the community love to go to the DeKalb Farmers Market. Even people from outside of Decatur and DeKalb love to come to this farmers market. My wife and I, we love this area. And so this is something that really brings a lot of the people together and is a very popular location for people all around metro Atlanta. And then another pro of living in Decatur is its downtown area. Decatur Square has lots of different shops and restaurants. And so if you lived within, walking distance of this area, it's a very easily walkable area. You could get from your home to all of those shops and restaurants. And I know many people are looking for these kinds of areas where you can kind of not have to be car dependent and be able to walk to the grocery store, to walk to all of these different things. And there, within a mile or so of Decatur Square, you could certainly live in a very walkable area. One of the things that makes Decatur Square so popular is that there are many local shops there in this area. You're not going to find a whole lot of like big name stores, big box stores. This is not the kind of thing that you find in Decatur Square. You find a lot of mom and pop shops, the restaurants that are locally owned. And so this is a really big draw for many people, and it highly affects the vibe and the feel of Decatur Square. This is a very artistic area, and so you really feel that uniqueness when you're in Decatur Square, and many people come to this area for that very reason. And if you're thinking about moving to Decatur, feel free to call, text, or email me anytime. I'm the one who answers those phone calls and those messages, and I'd be happy to help with your moving needs. Even if you just have a question about what it's like to live here, Thank you so much to everybody who has reached out. I'm always happy to help. But another pro of living in this area besides the food scene is also the music scene. Eddie's Attic is a local venue there in Decatur where you find a lot of live music. And so there's some really popular artists who have played in Eddie's Attic. And this is a great spot for finding live music, and it has affected the area in general, and it's kind of made it a very popular music scene. There are a lot of different music venues there in Decatur, and so it's a great place to find that live music on a Friday night or a Saturday night, and a big reason why many people choose this area. And while there are many reasons why Decatur is a great area and many reasons why you should choose Decatur to live in as your new home, there are also definitely some downsides to living in this area. And the fact is that every city, every area has its good sides and its downsides. And so it's not that Decatur is a bad area, but we want to make sure to talk about both the good and the bad so that you have a balanced idea of what it's like living here. We don't want to just gloss over the bad things. We want to make sure that you have a good understanding of what this area is like if you're considering moving here. So let's talk about some of the downsides of living in Decatur, Georgia. One of those downsides is definitely going to be the cost of living here. When you talk about cities that are outside of Atlanta, you kind of naturally think that you're thinking of an area that is less expensive than Atlanta. But the fact is that because Decatur is so close to Atlanta and it's so popular, it's actually a bit more expensive than some parts of Atlanta. And so this is a big deterrent for many people. An average home in Decatur is about $600,000 or $700,000. And so this is not really what everybody is looking for. If you're looking for homes in the low 300s or 400s, then Decatur is not really the right area for that. You could end up in a really sucky part of town or like a fixer-upper kind of home if you were to find a home at that price in Decatur. And so the cost of living and the cost of homes is definitely a bit higher here in Decatur than other parts of Metro Atlanta. Also, another thing that comes with that proximity to Atlanta is the amount of traffic and congestion. And so if you're looking for an area where there is not a lot of people, like that kind of rural setting where you get a lot of land for your home, Decatur is not a good area for that. You're definitely going to be close to neighbors, close to people, long lines at the grocery store. You might see a wait at the restaurant. This is a super normal thing here. You know, you're not going to find that kind of open, airy space in Decatur. You are going to find that city feel, though, here in this area. And then another thing that comes with the traffic and the congestion is the overcrowded schools. Decatur is in DeKalb County, and in general, DeKalb is not known for having the best schools, but Decatur is the exception. Decatur has some of the best public schools in all of Georgia and definitely in all of DeKalb County. So many of the people who live in this area want to be in the Decatur school districts, but this has led to a bit of an overcrowding situation in the public schools there. And then another downside is the fact that it is the best part of DeKalb County. I mean, that's a good thing that it's the best part of DeKalb, but some parts of DeKalb are not quite as nice as Decatur. And so, this is kind of an issue for some people. You can be just outside of Decatur and it's a very different vibe. It's a very different feel than that Decatur living. And so some parts of DeKalb are not as nice. And so it's kind of spotty and you want to be careful of what part of DeKalb County you're in. They're just not all the same. So definitely pros and cons to living in this area. And while Decatur is one of my favorite parts of all of Metro Atlanta, I've actually made an entire video where I talk about the top 5 suburbs of Atlanta. You can see them right here. I'll see you in the next video.